about, speaking of good walk rates, let's talk about the next guy on the list. Your number 3, my number 2 is Emmanuel Rodriguez. We'll quickly touch on his numbers, and then we can kind of talk about what the prognostication is here, right? So we'll start with the base numbers, then we'll talk about the health. So at AAA so far this year, walking 19.4% of the time, 33% strikeout rate. I mean, it's a true like 3 outcomes guy. 43 games, 5 home runs, 128 WRC plus. He's certainly been, I think it's fair to say, a little bit of a disappointment relative to how kind of incandescent he was, especially at AA in 2024. The other huge elephant in the room that we have to talk about is the health. In 2024, he played 47 games total. This year so far, 51, multiple IL stints in both seasons. And so I guess the question is, how much do you weigh the injury history and just like the consistent track record at this point of winding up on the injured list into his kind of long-term outcomes? How do you kind of weigh that? It feels like increasingly heavily.
Yeah, and I think we talked early in 2024, like there was an avenue that he could have debuted last year, and he was hurt. And then this year, it's like, well, geez, he'll be at AAA, he'll be right there.
Right.
As long as he's healthy, he'll debut. And he's been hurt, and with what he's got now, I mean, could potentially not return. Like that missing all the games though has hurt less because Buxton's been unbelievable, right?
Unbelievable.
Harrison Bader's been a great signing from the perspective of doing exactly what the Twins need and not catching that ball today and getting him one step closer to the first pick in the draft next year. But I feel like if Buxton would be hurt, like there would be a whole lot more of wringing of the hands about Rodriguez not being healthy.
Yeah.
Dude's still only 22 years old. So he can kind of make up for it by playing next year and being healthy on the 40 man for the first time, but I think would be eligible for a 4th-year option. So there's time, right? Time is on his side. He's just got to be in the box and playing, right? But I do think he should still fit long-term into the plans. I talked a lot about trading him if the Twins are ever buying, but I think at this point it's more the opposite. So you just you gotta hold him. His value is not super high right now, but he's still a top 50 prospect. And I think it's discouraging that he's been as injured as he has been, but get him healthy, get him through spring training, get him in St. Paul next year, and he could be up, and Jenkins could be up with Buxton in the middle. That's a pretty exciting outfield.
That is pretty exciting for sure.
I will interject because I accidentally added myself at the wrong time, but I did want to talk about Rodriguez on here with you guys. From what I've heard, best case scenario for his return is the last 3 weeks of the AAA season, which is pretty much just the month of September. And that's pretty much the equivalent of the time he got called up there last year from AA Wichita to play with them. So I know I haven't shared my rankings yet, but because of how injured he has been and how slow he was out the gate and really only having, I'd say, 3 or 4 good weeks here this season, I dropped him down to number 4, and I put Kalen Culpepper above him because Culpepper has been healthy and performing.
You're not wrong.
There you go. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely talk about him in a second, and that's a great update to have. Thanks for that, Theo, on the Erod health. I mean, you're right, dude. Like both of those things are true. And I'm also coming back to the kind of acknowledged like biases, right? Of like what we value and don't value in prospects. Something I continue to appreciate about Erod is he is good enough to, at least in the medium term, before you jump on me, stick in center field. I'm not saying he's going to be a plus major league center fielder, but if you put him in a corner, he could be a plus defender. It's a really good arm. He actually has decent wheels for someone who looks like he shouldn't have decent wheels. And so I think some of the supplementary tools that don't jump off the page, because we always talk about his walk rate, crazy strikeout rate, crazy power, or also get a little bit overlooked. But you're right that this is, at this point, is kind of a lost season, man.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like if you put him into a lineup that has Keishel healthy and Lewis healthy and Jenkins healthy and Buxton healthy, like he doesn't have to. He can bat in the bottom third of the order.
Yeah.
Right? And that's going to just make that lineup longer because he's going to get on base. And I think that's kind of the nice thing about him. Is right now or when healthy, he would be forced to be, I would assume he probably bats leadoff a ton. That he's not going to be a leadoff hitter in the major leagues. He won't need to be.